Have you ever wondered why people behave the way they do? Why some of us lie more than we think or fall in love faster than we admit? Why do we mirror each other's body language or feel uneasy when someone stares too long? Welcome to the fascinating world of human psychology, where what you think is happening is rarely what's really going on. In this video, we're diving into the strangest, most mind-blowing facts about human behavior, all backed by psychology. No fluff, no filler, just pure psychological truth that'll change how you see people and yourself. Let's begin. People can smell your emotions. Literally, science has discovered something wild. Human sweat carries emotional signals. In a study from UTRE University, researchers exposed participants to sweat collected from people who were scared. And guess what happened? The people smelling that sweat began to subconsciously mirror fearful behavior. That means our bodies can detect emotional information through scent alone without us even realizing it. It's primitive, powerful, and deeply unconscious. So next time you feel someone's energy before they speak, you might be right. Your brain is literally picking up chemical signals. The 7-second rule of first impressions. Psychologists say it takes just 7 seconds to form a first impression. That's it. Just 7 seconds and someone has already judged your trustworthiness, attractiveness, confidence, and more. The scary part, once formed, these impressions are ridiculously hard to change. Our brain prefers confirmation over correction. It will notice things that reinforce that first judgment and ignore things that contradict it. So whether you're going on a date or walking into a job interview, your introduction begins before you even speak. The peon effect: people perform how you expect. Here's a fact that sounds almost magical. People will often rise or fall to meet your expectations of them. This is called the Paimon effect. When teachers were told certain students were high performers even though they weren't, those students ended up performing better. Why? Because they were treated differently, given more time, more feedback, more patience, and they began to believe in themselves more. This shows just how powerful expectations can be. Not only do we project them onto others, but they can shape reality. Your brain reacts to rejection like physical pain. Ever been ghosted? It hurts, right? Like a punch in the gut. That's not just a figure of speech. Functional MRI scans show that social rejection activates the same brain regions as physical pain to your brain. Being excluded, even digitally, is like being injured. This explains why a breakup or being ignored can feel unbearable. Psychology tells us emotional wounds are just as real as physical ones, and sometimes they last even longer. People mimic without knowing. When you're talking to someone, you pay close attention. Are they copying your posture? Leaning in when you lean in, smiling when you smile. That's the chameleon effect. An unconscious mimicry of another person's gestures, tone, and expressions. It's a sign of empathy, a social glue. Interestingly, the more someone mimics you, the more you tend to like them without even realizing why. It's like a secret code of trust and connection. People remember emotion, not detail. Think about your favorite memory. You probably recall how you felt, not what. Shoes you wore or the exact words someone said. Psychology reveals this universal truth. Emotion shapes memory. This is called the effect heuristic. If something made you feel safe, loved, humiliated, or scared, that feeling burns the memory into your brain far deeper than logic ever could. That's why we may forget the facts of a story, but remember how it made us feel for years. 93% of communication is nonverbal. Words only account for about 7% of communication. The rest, tone, pace, gestures, eye contact, micro-expressions. In other words, your body speaks volumes even when your mouth is silent. That's why someone saying, "I'm fine," can mean 100 different things depending on how they say it. So if you really want to understand someone, listen with your eyes. Multitasking is a myth. Think you're good at multitasking? Psychology says probably not. The brain can't actually focus on two complex tasks at once. What it does instead is rapidly switch between them. This switching lowers efficiency, increases stress, and leads to more mistakes. Want to be more productive? Focus on one thing at a time. That's how your brain actually works best. Eye contact builds connection or intimidation. Eye contact is powerful. Just a few seconds can increase trust, attraction, and even heart rate synchronization. But here's the twist. Too much eye contact, especially without blinking or in the wrong context, can feel threatening. That's because staring activates our brain's amygdala, the fear center. So use it wisely. Eye contact can build intimacy or trigger alarm bells. Your brain can't tell real from imagined emotion. When you imagine a fearful scenario, say missing a flight or being chased, your brain lights up almost exactly as if it were happening. That's because your brain responds to imagined emotional experiences with real physiological reactions. This is why athletes visualize winning. It primes the nervous system and feels real, creating confidence and muscle memory before the real moment even comes. So, what you think matters a lot. People judge you by your voice instantly. You might spend hours picking the right outfit, but people decide how smart, dominant, or friendly you are in milliseconds just by hearing your voice. Higher-pitched voices are often judged as less authoritative. Slower speech creates perceptions of confidence. Vocal fry. That creaky Kardashian-style tone can signal nervousness or insincerity. Your voice is your first impression, so how you say something is just as important as what you say. Mirror neurons make you feel others' pain. Ever cringe when someone gets hurt in a video? That's not just sympathy. That's your mirror neurons at work. These special brain cells fire when you observe someone else experiencing something as if it were happening to you. It's why we flinch at horror scenes, why yawns are contagious, why watching someone cry can bring tears to our own eyes. We're wired for empathy, quite literally. You're more likely to remember negative events. Bad memories stick harder. It's a psychological bias called negativity bias, and it's why one rude comment can outweigh 10 compliments. From an evolutionary lens, this makes sense. Our ancestors needed to remember danger to survive, not which berries tasted best. But in modern life, this bias can distort reality, making the world seem worse than it really is. Being aware of it helps us train our brain toward balance. Crowds make us lose morality. Ever wonder why peaceful protests sometimes turn violent or why people do things in crowds they'd never do alone? That's de-individuation. When we are anonymous in a group, our sense of responsibility weakens. We become more impulsive, emotional, and prone to mimicry. It's the psychology behind mob mentality and why online trolling is so common. When identity disappears, morality can blur. Your brain rewrites memories constantly. You think your memories are solid. Not quite. Each time you recall a memory, your brain reconstructs it, adds new information, deletes old details, alters facts without telling you. It's called reconsolidation. So memories aren't perfect records. They're evolving stories influenced by your current mood, beliefs, and expectations. Yes, your brain literally lies to you to protect your identity. People will obey authority even against their morals. In the infamous Grimm experiment, participants were told to shock another person and must even when the victim screamed. Why? Because an authority figure told them to. This chilling fact about obedience reveals a deep human tendency. When someone in power gives orders, people often suppress their conscience. It's one of the most important psychological lessons in history and a reminder of why ethical leadership matters. The halo effect one trait shapes all judgments. If someone's attractive, we often assume they're also smart, kind, funny, and capable. This is called the halo effect. One positive trait like beauty or confidence creates a bias that colors everything else we perceive about a person. It works in reverse. Two, if someone's rude, we might assume they're lazy or untrustworthy, even if they're not. It's a shortcut the brain takes. Useful, sometimes accurate, not always. You can trick your brain into happiness. Smile, even if you don't feel like it. Research shows that simply moving your face into a smile can stimulate dopamine and serotonin. Your brains feel good chemicals. This is known as the facial feedback hypothesis. Basically, acting happy even artificially can make you feel happier. It's not fake. It's psychological reprogramming. Groupthink destroys creativity. In groups, people often conform to avoid conflict even when they disagree. Internally, this is called groupthink. It leads to poor decisions, suppressed innovation, and dangerous consensus. From corporate boardrooms to friend circles, groupthink can kill better ideas. That's why healthy dissent is so important, and why the most successful teams encourage constructive disagreement. Your brain is wired for stories. Facts tell, stories sell, and your brain knows it. When we hear a story, our brain activates areas linked to memory, empathy, even motor function, as if we're inside the story. That's why stories persuade us more than statistics. Why TED Talks use narratives, and why we remember movies better than lectures. Want to influence people? Tell them a story. Their brain will listen. Self-control is like a muscle. It tires. Ever wonder why you eat junk food at night, but not in me, you might? The morning? Psychologists call it ego depletion. Your willpower is finite. You spend it throughout the day resisting. Temptation, making decisions, staying focused. By night, it's often drained. That's when discipline cracks. The solution? Make fewer decisions. Automate routines and schedule your hardest tasks early. Dopamine is about anticipation, not reward. We often think dopamine equals pleasure, but that's a myth. Dopamine spikes before the reward in anticipation of it. It's the wanting chemical, not the liking one. That's why we crave the next episode, the next message, the next scroll. It's also why addictive behaviors thrive. Not because of the reward, but because of the chase. People are terrible at detecting lies. We like to think we can spot liars, but truth is, even trained professionals are only slightly better than chance. Liars don't always avoid eye contact. Truth tellers do fidget, and there's no universal tell. Instead, psychologists suggest looking for inconsistency. Two words match tone? Does the story change over time? That's the real clue. Most people believe they're above average. Statistically, it's impossible, but most people rate themselves as above average in intelligence, kindness, and morality. It's called the illusory superiority bias. This self-enhancing illusion helps protect our ego, but it also blinds us to growth. Ironically, the smartest people are often less confident because they know what they don't know. Loneliness is as dangerous as smoking. Chronic loneliness increases risk of heart disease, depression, anxiety, and even early death. As much as smoking 15 cigarettes a day, that's how deeply we are wired for connection. Even brief moments of genuine human interaction, a shared laugh, a warm conversation can change your biology. If you feel isolated, reach out. It's not weakness, it's medicine. People confuse confidence with competence. In group settings, the loudest or most assertive voice often gets the credit, not the one with the best idea. This is the confidence. Competence disconnect. We assume someone who acts certain must be right, but confidence can be faked. Competence cannot. Great leaders know how to see beyond the surface. Humans need purpose to thrive. Studies show that people with a sense of meaning live longer, happier, and more resilient lives. It doesn't have to be a world-changing mission. Even simple things, raising a child, helping others. Creating art can give life structure. Purpose is a psychological anchor. Without it, we drift. People are more honest when tired. Sounds strange, right? But late at night, when mental defenses are low, people tend to be more vulnerable and truthful. That's why deep conversations happen at 2 a.m. Why secrets spill after exhaustion? Tired minds don't spin as many filters. Small acts of kindness change the brain. When you do something kind, hold a door, offer a compliment, help a stranger, your brain releases oxytocin. This love hormone strengthens trust, bonding, and mood. But here's the twist. Watching kindness also triggers this. Kindness is contagious biologically. Music, your thoughts literally reshape your brain. This is perhaps the most mind-blowing fact of all. Every thought you think, every belief, every habit wires your brain differently. It's called neuroplasticity. Positive thoughts strengthen pathways of gratitude and resilience. Negative rumination strengthens fear and anxiety. Circuits. Your mind sculpts your brain, which means you have more power than you ever realized. So now you know our minds are filled with invisible forces, unconscious patterns, hidden truths. And yet that same mind holds the key to rewiring how we feel, act, and connect. Human behavior is not random. It's beautifully complex and more predictable than it seems. If this journey opened your eyes, share it with someone you care about, because understanding ourselves is the first step to understanding the world.